Hello, hello, hello. You all know who I am. It is Dr. Victorious here for another episode of Be Victorious. Y'all like when I sing it, I'm sure. Now, let me explain what is going on here. I am in awe of this young lady. She's amazing. We did meet on social media, but guess what? There is enough space in the mental health field for us to come together, unite, and understand that we serve a purpose. And this is what she's done for me. I've learned so much from this young woman. Kelley, where are you? How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Blessed, no complaints at all. I was letting our audience know what I love is that I've learned so much from you.
Oh, thank you.
I can go on in detail but I'm going to let you tell us what you are, who you are, and how you are impacting the mental health field.
Oh, thank you. So my name's Kelley Ericson. I am a holistic health practitioner. I'm also a functional nutrition coach and I'm Reiki certified. I came to this field because of my own childhood trauma. I had a pretty significantly disrupted childhood, to say the least. And I had children, and I hadn't really addressed my trauma until I had a sick kid. And I knew that in order to help him, I was going to have to help myself. And so I started this journey of figuring out how to become better, improve my own mental health, and lose some weight. I had some physical ailments that we often um, have as a result of childhood trauma.
Mhm.
um, but I didn't really approach it from that mindset. I really was focused on the physical aspect. I wanted to lose weight and I really wanted to help my son. And so I started this journey, and about 6 months into my little healing journey, I started to notice that I was resolving a lot of emotional wounds that I had, and I couldn't figure out how this was all possible. So I went back to school. I started studying. I started surrounding myself with other people that were talking about things that I just hadn't heard about.
Right.
And I came to the field of kind of quantum biology. Um, I found a couple of doctors that were really knowledgeable about how light impacts our not only our physical health, but our mental health. And so I spent a couple of years just studying as much as I could. And I figured out that the light environment that we are surrounded in can make us not only stressed, but also can make us more susceptible to the negative impacts of stressful situations.
Mhm.
So that's what I do is I teach other women how to modify their light environment and nutrition and improve their sleep and all of these things to help provide the internal space to work on your emotional wounds.
She's good. I've learned a lot. This is my sister in the educational field, and she is doing her thing. I've learned so much just based upon the research aspect of it. When she puts her information out there, if you go and look it up, oh, you'll find that the things that she's saying and the information that she's putting out there is actually what it is. I think for me, it's the purpose behind the research because it sounds familiar. Us educators, seriously, out here to educate you guys, and the information is out there and it's relatable. And
Yeah.
guess what? It's personal and it's professional. And I think that's the reason why I kind of navigated to you because you're amazing.
Oh,
And
thank you.
testimony is there, the research is there, everything is there. So I have a quick question because you did talk about your childhood trauma.
Yes,
Take the ACEs quiz.
I did.
And what's your score?
It was a 10, 10 out of 10.
That's fine. Welcome to the 10 Club. What
Okay.
does that do for you? Is that like alarming? What does that 10 do for you?
If I had taken that quiz earlier on in life, it might have been alarming or kind of maybe a little bit of a crutch, like an excuse of why I mistreated myself or behaved poorly or had bad coping mechanisms.
Right.
But I didn't take it earlier in life. I only took it, I think, for the first time maybe 2 years ago. And I was already pretty far along in my healing journey. So it just was kind of like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And I think that's the thing that people have to understand. It's not as alarming as one would think because it's like, oh, 10, oh my God, I need to do something. No, you really don't. You really just need to understand what that number is and what to do from that number. You were already doing things in transition. It was just a number. It's still just a number. But
yeah,
look at all the wonderful things that you have been doing. You got your number, and here you are.
yeah.
So I want to start talking about the Reiki.
The Reiki?
Yes.
Yeah,
Let the listeners and know exactly what it is because a lot of people don't understand what it is and some people run from it because they don't know exactly what it is. So
sure.
tell us a little bit about it.
Okay. So, from an uneducated or unaware, I guess, standpoint, it kind of can seem a little woo woo and, that maybe that it's all in your head or that there's nothing really happening. But from an energetic standpoint or a scientific standpoint, we are beings of energy. And so we have the ability to help others move energy through their bodies. And when we have situations like childhood trauma, this energy can get stuck in our body. And a lot of times this can lead to physical pain, things like fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, chronic pain syndrome, any of these things. And so Reiki is just a method of helping people move some stuck energy through their body. It's really simple. You don't have to engage in anything. You get to just lay and relax. It's kind of like a massage without the touch.
I like it. I do. It's recent for me. I've been told that I have a lot of energy. I know that I do. I think my energy comes from the fact that I have undiagnosed ADHD. I'll be totally honest with you. Um, Back in our day, shall I say, there wasn't an ADHD. It was sit down and find something to do or go outside and play. And now with all the holistic and the things that they have to help us, I tried it and I really do like it. I think it's great for people to understand themselves and understand different coping mechanisms for them to heal.
Yeah. I think if you look at it from an evolutionary perspective, ADHD or someone with ADHD symptoms would have been very beneficial to a tribe or a community that is kind of exposed to the elements and maybe other tribes. You would have been someone who could be on high alert or extremely focused. And so I do think that sometimes we can get caught up in diagnoses
Mhm.
when really maybe this modern world isn't designed for the different personalities or different brain structures or that we can all have.
Congratulations. And I agree with you 110%. I do.
Yeah,
Because I think that's the thing. We're still off of what has happened in the past when we're living in 2023. And we have to do what is best for us and what works for us.
yeah,
It's easy to try, But of course, we're not going to try anything unless we know about it first. So I'm going to say, I liked it, you guys. I tried it and I plan on doing it again. It was the first time for me. So I want to shout out to Restore Her Wellness. She is a young lady that I've been working with. I've also been talking to you. I am interested, and I think a lot of people should do their research and find out about it a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's anything wrong with it at all. I
Yeah.
I think what we have to do, especially people that are dealing with ACEs and dealing with the childhood traumas that they're dealing with, I think there are things that we have to understand. And once we understand and learn, it'll help us heal.
Yeah.
I
I,
do. I do. What made you look into Reiki?
when I was younger in my early 20s, I was interested in the alternative health field,
Okay.
but I also was dating someone who was in the Western medical field. And, our two thought processes didn't necessarily align. And I think I was trying to, I don't know, invalidate my own direction by going with this other um, thought process.
Sure.
And so I ignored it for a long time, but I came back to it because there really just was so much information that supported this idea of energy and movement and how things can become trapped in in our physical bodies, but also in our auric field. And so I wanted to try it out, and I tried it on myself first. I went and had it done several times, and I had some pretty interesting experiences, like flashes or, images pop into my mind, or the sound of something breaking. And I thought, what is that? Well, there's a lot of research that shows we actually do trap the frequency and the memory in our water networks and in our cells. And so, there's some truth to this. We can literally let go of some of this stored information in our physical bodies through this. And so the more I did it, the more I was attracted to it. And again, to help my son to be able to provide this service to him whenever needed. So,
Motivating.
yeah.
Very motivating. I just think that you're so amazing. Do, because you have so much. You're with you being a holistic health practitioner. For people that don't know exactly what that is, tell them exactly what that is, because you're my first.
Okay. So for me, what it means for me is finding ways that we can utilize either natural mechanisms or nature itself in and taking a more holistic approach to our health and well-being. From my perspective, everything in the body is connected. We in Western medicine, we kind of get trained to think of the body in separate systems, right? You go to the heart doctor or the brain doctor or the gut doctor, but the truth is that nothing in the body can be separated from anything else, and that includes our mental health. And so just the focus on the body as a whole, finding really natural means of bringing coherence back into the body. So yeah, that's what it means for me, is a very natural, holistic view of how the body works together.
And holistic for me is how you embrace talking and addressing light, because you're heavy on light.
Yes.
Tell us more, because that's natural and people don't get that part either.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
So light plays a really big role in just about every process within the body. Um, it it powers us in so many different ways that really get lost in the Western medical field. There's a lot of talk about the importance of vitamin D, which is entirely true, and vitamin D is really important for us. But we have this. If you've done any research on the cell danger response, then you will discovered that we have seasonal metabolism, and the seasonal metabolism is correlated to our light environment. The things that can grow in summertime versus the things that grow or don't grow in wintertime. And so, we have our physiology is tightly coupled to our light environment. So we have 24-hour rhythms, then we have seasonal rhythms, and then women have a monthly rhythm as well, right? And a lot of this is controlled by the light in our environment. And how it starts is it enters through the eyes. And there is a pathway from the eyes to the brain. It's called the retinohypothalamic tract. And this picks up the photons of light from our environment and sends signals to the hypothalamus about the time of day, the season, the latitude, so your location. And it gives this information to something called your master clock. Your master clock, or the suprachiasmatic nucleus, is responsible for entraining the body to these 24-hour daily rhythms that we have. From the master clock, we get communication to the rest of the body, and our cells, our genes, just about everything in our body has something called a peripheral clock. And so we have a master clock in our brain and then peripheral clocks located all throughout the body. And these two things have to be synced together. And so light is the Zeitgeber, or the entrainment signal, for the master clock. And then food is the entrainment signal for the peripheral clocks. And so the light that we're surrounding ourselves with, coupled with the time of day and the types of food that we're eating, can either power this connection and keep it strong, or it can break the connection, and then we end up with dysfunctional circadian rhythms, which this is correlated to things like cancer, metabolic syndrome. Just about every mental health disorder is correlated to disrupted circadian rhythms. We get heart disease, all kinds of things. We need these systems to be functioning properly. And a lot of this is controlled by the light that's in our environment.
Wonderful. I wrote about 5 things down. So listeners, if you are not writing these things down, please, because this is how we're going to help ourselves. This is a healing journey for a lot of us. And to have this information and know that these are some of the things that can actually help us. The reason why I do this is because a lot of us get sick and then we go straight to the hospital, when there are things we actually can know and learn to address and help ourselves, because that's what we need on our healing journey. We don't need to just go and sit in the ER and catch another cold or catch COVID from somebody that's sitting there that don't know. When we have people like you and me out there that can lead them to the direction to at least help them on their healing journey.
100%. And a doctor doesn't know you the way you know yourself. And the medical system is becoming a bit dysfunctional in and of itself, right? And so you are your greatest advocate, whether you use allopathic model of medicine or functional model of medicine. Either way, you are your biggest advocate. And so if you understand that there's things, just slight modifications that you can make in your daily life that are going to have a massive impact on the way your body is functioning, then all the more power to you, right? Take this information and apply it to yourself and watch things shift pretty drastically.
I would encourage anybody that's listening right now to take that challenge, because now I'm interested seriously in seeing if there's people out there that would be interested in doing the challenge, at least a 30-day challenge, so you can see the difference and know exactly that the journey to healing is up to you. It's not up to anybody else. You have to do your research and find out things. And that is the reason why we are here.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is actually a really good time of year to do a challenge like that for yourself because of the less amount of sunlight that we have during the day. This is a prime time for people's seasonal depression to kick in. People start gaining weight, lose motivation, don't want to go out and do anything. And really, the number one thing you can do to help yourself through the winter season is protecting your light environment. And
Yeah.
so that comes into play right here. It's not just about getting those sunlight cues, it's about blocking the wrong kind of light as well, so that you protect these cells that are in your eyes and in your skin. They're called photoreceptors, and we have them located all throughout our body, and they pick up on these light signals and transmit this information to our cells that communicate to our cells what they should be doing, when they should be doing it, or but also signal, if it's sunlight, it can signal safety to the body. But if it's artificial blue light from TVs or cell phones or computers, this signals a stress response, and this type of light will increase your cortisol, it'll increase your blood sugar, it can increase your heart rate. And 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 I know this to be true. How many times have you been looking at your phone, say past sunset, it's dark, and you're in bed and you're scrolling on your phone, and about 30 minutes you start to feel a little bit anxious. You're like, "Oh, what's happening?" And maybe your heart rate starts to increase and you're like, "Huh, what's going on?" Well, because you're having a physiological response to the light that's entering your eyes. It's really, really powerful, and more people need to understand this because it's it's a game changer, I promise.
And that's the reason why you are here. Uh-huh. And now y'all know why I like her a lot. We've been on this journey. It isn't about this person and that person, it's about educating you guys. She just gave you a whole bunch of stuff to understand. And I got a confession. You see the blue in the
Yeah.
glass?
Yeah.
I ever since I want to say I've been on the virtual journey. I can't see. I can't. And I still have the 2020 vision, but they always say put the blue tin or get some blue glasses. So it's been a part of me doing this since 2020. And yeah, that's the reason why I wear glasses. I only wear glasses because it's so much of the TV, the computer, it's so much for my eyes. So I want to say I agree with you 110%. It's a lot of us blue tint wearers out there. And
Yeah.
even if you go to take a test, they have more now the blue light than prescription because it's a lot more people that are having those issues. So I got a cosign, you guys. Telling the truth here
Yeah.
because don't let these fool you. They cute. I seriously can't see the screen as much as I used to. Now that I'm exposed to the screen more than I'm exposed to just plain light. So
Yeah.
I like this. So, what do you say to someone with adverse childhood experiences? If someone says, okay, I have a 10, Kelley. I really need some help. I really need to find out where to go and how to help heal my childhood trauma. What do you say? What do you
I
do?
think the first step for people is to connect with themselves on such a deep level and believe that healing is possible first and foremost. If you don't believe it's possible, you're probably not going to be very committed to the journey. You might do small little things that sabotage your success. I think really, I like to call it building a bridge. And we build this bridge to our future healed self. And really, that's the first step I take with my clients most often, is getting them to connect with that version of themselves. And they're like, well, sure, maybe. And I'm like, no, you have to feel it though. You have to feel it deep in your bones. And you have to find that tiny little spark that is left inside of you. Because for me, the lights were out, right? It was dark inside. But there were a few things along the way that maybe a teacher had said to me, or, a coworker or someone who saw the light still in me. And I didn't believe their words at the time, but when I was ready to heal, I had to grab onto those words, anything I could find, and make it the truth. And it was enough fuel to flame or to fan the fire, so to speak, and to keep me going when it felt impossible.
Right. And here you are.
Yeah.
You're amazing. Do your clients admit that they have childhood trauma? Do they admit that they have ACEs? Like, who's your typical client?
Usually people will come to me because of a physical ailment,
Okay.
be a skin condition or one lady just randomly lost 120 pounds and can't eat any food. So they'll typically come to me with something like that. And then we discuss what was going on in their life when this started. What was your childhood like? What were your parents like? And often through that means we discover together that there was traumatic events in their childhood or their adulthood that could be impacting or preventing their healing.
And a lot of people really don't know until they get or something happens for that to happen. What I found interesting is when you said they come because of weight or this, that's actually how ACEs was discovered. The shout out to Andrew Felitti and Robert Anda. They actually had a weight loss clinic and noticed that the people kept coming back, and they hooked up with the CDC. They hooked up with Kaiser Permanente back in the day, 17,000 people. But the thing is, they had everything. They had Kaiser Permanente, they had the doctors, they had everything. But to discover that it was childhood trauma that had all of this the way that it is, that's the reason why we're here,
Yeah.
because we have to address it. If we don't address those childhood traumas, that's the reason why things are continually to happen. And what I love is, yes, you have a 10. Yes, you're motivated by things that happen. You talk about your son. What drives you to continue to do the things that you're doing, though? Is it your clients? Is it your son? Is it you? What drives and motivates you to continue on this healing journey?
Well, I think it changes day to day. I mean, some days it feels overwhelming or like maybe I'm not really making a difference, or that imposter syndrome kind of comes in and says you have no right doing this. But then I get messages from clients or people who've taken one of my courses, or even listening to my children talk about a conversation they had with their friend. Like my oldest son is in public school. I homeschooled the other two. And he was talking about how the majority of girls in ninth grade are suicidal. And I was like, I said, no, how do you know? And we had this deep conversation. He was like, Mom, you wouldn't believe it. It is really, really sad. And then he'll say things like, I'm so grateful I have you, or I tell my biology teacher that she's wrong all the time. And I'm like, no, don't go doing that. But yeah, so it's different on different days. Sometimes it's my own growth. I can look back at pictures of myself and go, gosh, so glad I'm not there anymore. And so that can be the fuel. And then some days I just don't want to show up, and that's okay too.
And that's a part of the 10,
Yeah.
because I think people rush to heal when it's not a hit, it's not a race, it's a journey. We all have good days and bad days. I think for me, of course, my motivation, I have 3 girls. What I will say is, as much as I didn't want them to go through the experiences that I went through, they didn't. but they did. Household dysfunction for me, as far as the ACEs, because you have for ACEs the physical and mental abuse, the physical emotional neglect, and then you have household dysfunction. Well, now you have bullying, you have community violence, you have all these things. The household dysfunction is for everybody. I mean, I did the marriage for 13 years, did it, done, but that actually puts them in the household dysfunction of having parents that have had divorce. I think it also got to me starting to have teenagers. I worked at a school, still working through schools, and to see, I agree with your son. These kids are cutting themselves. They are suicidal. They're calling out for help, but there's nobody there to help them. And I
Yeah.
think for me, that's the struggle. So me making a decision to say, okay, I'm gonna leave public education alone and go ahead and do this on my own, it has actually been working. My kids, I have a fifth grader that comes home every day. I watch her as she talks to her friends. She's like, have you guys subscribed to my mom's channel? And it's the ACEs channel. And she knows about it. She's like, Mom, can you help me with this young man? He's kind of overweight and people pick on him. This is what's going on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so why not educate your son,
Yeah.
educate kids? Why not do these things? Because it's what's happening. And what he's telling you is the guide to honest truth, because in middle school, they are vaping, they are doing a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he says, it's happening in the locker room, in the bathroom. Some kids will even do it in class when the teacher's not looking. So you've got kids that have access to things that just are unfathomable. I mean, when we were young, if you wanted to smoke pot, you had to go find, it could take you a week before you could land your hands on some marijuana, right? Now, these kids can walk into just about any store and get their hands on a vape pen filled with THC that looks just like a regular vape pen. And so nobody's going to question it. I imagine it probably smells. I haven't smelled it, but they're just, I don't know, but also the devices, those devices are ruining their dopamine system, and it's leading to addictive behaviors at an alarming rate.
And here we are,
Yeah.
doing what we need to do, because that's what they don't know and understand. It's not a trend. It's not anything. It is a lot of people actually that are doing it and don't even know what's going on at all. But then there are so many people that don't even understand mental health as a whole. The things that we're experiencing. You talked about seasonal affective disorder. Sad. It's really out there. This is the season. We're talking about it and we're discussing it, but people don't understand. That's the reason why the transition of the weather, with the transition of the time, the daylight saving time is going to have an impact on people. They don't understand that. And I think if we continue to educate and do the things that we're doing, then they'll catch on. They
Yeah.
will. Your
Yeah.
clients, and they come to you for these things. Your children are coming to you for these things. I want to go back into your ACEs number, because you
Okay.
have. How do you think about that? Like, what do you think if it was someone else that had a 10, what would you say to someone else who has a 10?
I don't know. To me, it's just, I almost feel like hardship or pain is kind of our greatest teacher if we allow it to be. So I don't have a negative spin on it anymore.
Very good.
For a long time, I viewed it as something negative. Oh, these poor children or poor people need to be rescued and saved, and it's not their fault. But now I kind of look at it like, there's something bigger in store for you. That's why you had to experience all of this. So if you can get out of your own way, your life is going to be something magical, fantastical. You are going to have a big impact. Doesn't mean you're going to be rich or any of those things, but there's something in you that this earth was meant to experience, and this is your opportunity.
I think so too. I think we need to normalize it. We're here. We're here and we're okay. And we use these things to help us heal and help us so the next generation don't have to. I just want the next generation, or even those that are listening, to understand it's okay. We have kids, we're living, we live life, it's happening, but it's okay. Join us. It doesn't make us abnormal and it doesn't make us different. It's us. We all have an ACEs score. Now, what's interesting is I do have some young ladies, love them to death. They're what I call my ACEs. They're in college. I have a huge mentorship program, and
Wow.
they're in college and they're addressing ACEs and they're talking to people about ACEs. And it's funny because they're like, I have a 0. And it's like, it's okay. Don't go out and try to get a number. It's
Yeah.
okay. You can have your 0. It's okay to be a 0. That means something happened in your life that got you there, which is fine. But people, I'm a 5. I have to be it depends on the day. I'm a 7, just depends. Or in the beauty of the beholder, I'm a mother. And so, like I tell my children, I I'm a 4. It's like, okay, you are. And guess what? We don't want your number to go up and we don't want your number to go down. We want you to understand that there's people out there just like you. And it's your job to understand that score, move forward, and heal.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And the truth is, yeah, like you said, some people have a 0, some people have a 10, but the people with the 0 might be experiencing something that doesn't show up on the ACEs quiz, right? That could be a hardship for them. Just the comparison game, it doesn't help anyone at all from either side, right? When we learn that we are all connected, we all come from the same source, and then we can understand that what I do impacts you and what you do impacts me. So my ability to heal is going to have a positive impact on everyone around me, and they are going to carry it on with them. Like I would thought about my children because I was still drinking when I had kids. And that crushed me inside because I thought I'm just repeating the exact same thing that my parents did to me. But now I can look at it and say, they didn't just see me drinking and, being stupid mom. They got to see me completely and 100% do a 180 or a 360 or whatever you want to call it. So they've not only witnessed the hardship, but they've witnessed um, the glory of it all. And so they also get to carry that information with them as well, so
That's
that
their
they know if,
experience.
yeah, if they pick up drugs or alcohol, they also will have the awareness that this isn't a death sentence. I can get out anytime I choose.
And that's so real. And I'm being totally honest with you because that experience is an experience for them. You're experiencing, we don't know that I'll be honest, we don't know that. We don't, but we do.
Yeah.
I I have, and I love my daughter. My oldest daughter was episode 5. She was so excited to do it. And what I didn't realize at the time, she was actually struggling. I think that was her cry for help. She has anxiety and depression, and we took her to the doctor. The doctor said yes, she has it, but I didn't realize that until then. She was telling me, but I was just like, oh yeah, I'm doing this. And that was her way of actually telling me that that's our children.
Yeah.
This is this season. This is this group of students right now. And so those little bitty cries for help are what they are telling us so we can get the information out there. But your story or what you just said is so real. I think we have to understand that they saw this, they saw your transition, and here they are. They can understand, they can know, they can understand mom's not perfect, but they can also learn from that the right and the wrong of what to do and what not to do.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why, and I just say, I almost turned into a sister real quick. That's the reason why I fool with you, because it's the truth. It is.
Yeah.
It is. I'm going to ask you a fun question. I'm gonna switch it up.
Okay.
And I've never done this before, so this is going to be so cool. People have their different types of healing journeys that they do, and I had a young man ask me yesterday, because I love music, what type of music do I listen to in order to help me heal? So I'm going to ask you that same question. Do you like music?
I love music. Yes.
What type of music do you listen to for your healing journey?
So this is a very interesting question that you're asking because I've thought about this so much. Before I'm in my dysfunctional stage of life, I listened to a lot of really depressing music. Music that talked about heartbreak or revenge, or I don't know, just it wasn't uplifting to say the least. And then about a year into this journey, someone sent me a Spotify playlist that they had put together for me. And I listened to it on a run one morning and I was like, I don't know if I like this. I don't know. But something kept pulling me back to it. And the more I listened to it, the more it was just like, oh my goodness, I have been listening to this same playlist for 3 years now, and I listen to it every day, and it still gives me goosebumps. And it's the story of connection, of God, of love. And the artist's name is Trevor Hall, and I think he's fantastic and embodies everything that I believe humanity should be. And yes, my music taste has changed drastically.
Hey, I have to ask this now because that is so cool to me. I love music, and people have their different ways for their own soothing as far as therapy. My daughter, my oldest daughter, she loves art, loves it, loves it. I I will go to the store and get it for her, trust.
Yeah.
Heavy on extracurricular activity, so that's another thing too. But music, it depends on the day. So I have wrote this young man's name down.
Yeah.
I am heavy on it because it really depends on your mood. It
Hmm.
can make you or break you. Um,
And
Yesterday, the
yeah, go
song
ahead.
Hated to Love It, The Underdogs on Top, by 50 Cent. It
Yeah.
was nerves. You know what I mean? It was like, okay, I was having a good day, but I just wanted to hear it. I hear it. I'm heavy on affirmations.
Hmm.
So it really just depends on how I feel. But you're gonna laugh at this one. I love rap, but I love rap depending on who it is. And the song Hater to Love It by 50 Cent, yes. But Juvenile has this song, Your Paper Chase, that you got your block on fire, you remain a G until the moment you expire. The affirmation of it,
Hmm.
it is to make nothing out of something, you handle your biz. So don't be crying and the suffering. So it was like, okay, I'm gonna keep saying it to myself. And that was my affirmation for yesterday. And
I
it was
love it.
cool, but it depends on the day. It depends on your mood or where you want to go. It can make you or break you. If you're listening to songs, like you said, about, going to hurt yourself or hurt somebody or blowing up the block, that's something different. But I like that what you said, that you started off one way and ended off. And you've been listening to the same playlist for 3 years. I
I
love
have. I try to change it. I try to put something different on when I go on my walks, but two or three songs, I'm just like, yeah, this isn't, I like that goosebumpy feeling. I like that feeling of being connected to something much bigger than myself. I love, I just love love. I really do. I love love. And this music just embodies love. I think there's one song of his, it's called Fire on Your House. And it talks about, you did this to yourself and now your house is burning down and I'm just going to stand here and watch it. It's really catchy, but I don't like the message of like watching someone else's house burn down. So that's the only song out of like his 10 albums that I'm just like, yeah, I'm not a fan of that one.
Like,
But
what I'm going to do, let everybody know where they can find you, because again, I've said it 15,000 times how amazing you are, because
thank you.
you are. Tell us where we can find you.
Sure. So I'm on Instagram. My Instagram handle is my maiden name. So it's Kelley Croft instead of Kelley Ericson. And then I am on Twitter as well, which is Kelley Ericson. And then I also have a podcast that I've started. It's called the Quantum Connection Roundtable. And I host it with my friend Lauren. And we are. Bringing people from different modalities and different specialties to kind of open up the window for healing for people. Because, you know, on this journey, you may think, or you're told, or whatever, that it's this one way and this one way only. And you try this way and it doesn't really work for you. So then you go searching for something else. And the truth of the matter is, it kind of requires a collection of things to bring whole body health and wellness. And so we've created this roundtable podcast where we invite people on to really help expand the conversation and make people more aware of these different areas or specialties that you can incorporate into your life. And so we'll have to have you on. We just started it.
Excited. Congratulations.
You know.
Because it sounds great, especially with it being a round table. So let me know whenever you're ready. I'm ready.
Okay.
This is great.
Yeah.
And this is what you all have to understand. There's plenty of room for us. We're not in competition, you guys. We are here to help you heal. We are here to help educate you and help you heal. You
Yeah.
amazing. This is the beginning of us. I've connected through a few people thanks to you. And this is just the beginning, you guys. I want to thank you so much for being here, but I want to let my audience know, of course, you are amazing. Thank you so much for being here, Kelley.
I appreciate you. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for inviting me on. Thank you for believing in me and supporting me. And yeah, just being an advocate for people. I appreciate it so much.
You. This is not the end of us. We will be doing a lot more work together. So you all have listened to another episode of Be Victorious, and we will see you guys soon.